Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Lord's Gaming YouTube channel. My name is Joseph Repko. I'm the senior editor of the website, and today we have two very special guests with us in the realm. We have Mr. Zach Mckone. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing good. And we have with us today as well, Miss Danielle Sokolowski. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Oh, you nailed it. You nailed it. Hello.
And how are you both doing today?
Fabulous. Even better now that we're here with you, Joseph.
Aw, thank you. So for anybody who doesn't know, Danielle and Zach are the senior community management team over at Digital Extremes. And today, I kind of wanted to get both of their history, just even if it's an abbreviated version, just kind of what your journeys have been going into the games industry and how did you guys find yourself at Digital Extremes? Would that be okay?
Absolutely.
All right, who wants to go first?
Zach, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can go ahead.
Okay.
I was a fresh face into the industry. I started right out of university 5 years ago. So DE has been my only place of employment in the industry, and I worked basically throughout my years with the creator program. Nowadays, as a senior community manager, I manage the creator team with a couple other folks on the community team, working to do some pretty cool stuff with our hundreds of creators all over the world.
Oh, that's awesome. And Danielle?
Yeah, I celebrated my 10-year anniversary at DE this past April. So
Congratulations.
thank you so much. It's very special. 10 years, like a decade of my life at DE, and I don't think I would have had it any other way. So similar to Zach, we're actually from the same university program. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, I did my internship, and I remember my interview with Reb when I was like getting into the internship, because she asked me who my favorite Warframe was, and I was like, Saren. I love Saren. And she was like, that's a good answer. And then I was an intern, and I was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever. And from there, I graduated and joined the team officially. And at that time, it was very much just like getting into the weeds of Warframe, understanding the game, spending a lot of time on the forums. And then it just kind of like evolved from there. I started participating more in like the streams, assisting there. And then, we started doing more like campaigns and charity work. So it's been, I feel very lucky because I've gotten a chance at every point. I'm kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none individual. So DE has been a good place for someone like myself who wants to kind of like dip their toes into many various things. So I've been very lucky to kind of get the lay of the land of the industry across the board. So it's been a great 10 years, and I hope for many, many more. And 10 of TennoCons. I've been to every single TennoCon, which blows my mind. But
we're going to get to that later.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right, but obviously, so you started at 2015, and Zach, you started around the same time frame, earlier, later, which...
It would have been 2020 for me.
Okay, so 5 years ago. Okay. So the first question following up this is, considering both are kind of a very consistent face for the primetime stream, the weekly streams that you guys kind of play with the community, do giveaways, look over fan art, clan dojos, etc. I kind of want to know, what was it like for both of you whenever you first did your actual like first appearances on primetime, and how it felt kind of doing it now? Like, what's the difference? Is it kind of just routine? What's it like?
Yeah, that's a great question. I remember when I first started, we kind of have a couple stages of primetime. We have the cold pot, from the voice you hear off camera reading comments, and then the hot seat on camera. And so they kind of start you off in cold pot just to get the vibe of what a stream is like. And so after a couple months of doing that, I had my first on-camera appearance scheduled. And I remember I basically memorized the housekeeping for that day. I knew all my points. I knew exactly what we were going to do. And I just read through it like I was reading off a script the whole time. I was so nervous because it was, my first time being on camera and interacting with the community. Nowadays, I would say it's kind of just like off the cuff, and we have all of our usual planning steps for making sure we get the news and the housekeeping and prepare all the fan art. But Danny can attest, there have been many times where busy weeks get busy and we meet each other in the stream room on Thursday and go, all right, let's do this. And we just yap for a couple hours and enjoy the time with the community. So a lot more chill these days for us to be able to do the stream. But I'm curious on your first experience, Danny.
my first experience, if I had a memory of it, it's all kind of a blur, but like in the best way possible. I think to Zach's point, like that comfortability also comes with building like a repertoire between you and the community, and like you get familiar with them, they get familiar with you, and that just comes with time and exposure. So but also comes with like having a really great team in that stream room to stream with. So like the community team as a whole, like the shenanigans you see on stream are the shenanigans that are happening off camera as well. So like
I can
like,
only imagine.
oh, let me tell you, Joseph. Those are the kitchen at lunchtime gets a little crazy, but that primetime energy is just kind of felt throughout with the team. And but I would honestly, like, I do remember the nerves. It is very, very nerve-wracking to make those kind of introductions on camera, especially if you're new to that. I remember, watching so many streamers. Like, spend a lot of time on Twitch, and I was like, what do they do that's so good? How do I like absorb that to be the person that could feel confident being on camera? And so much of that honestly came down to watching how Reb and Meg streamed as well. Like, having them as mentors was really important for me, and I learned so much from them just by watching them, and also obviously like coming to them and being like, what could I do better, and where am I at? And I feel like that really tremendously helps. So it's just kind of a, mixed bag of just doing it over time and just having a great team to do it with.
And just to get a little bit of Zach on this one, like obviously you said you had a constant feedback loop watching Reb and Meg and everything. Like they're kind of the two faces that I kind of started off watching back in 2016 because I actually started playing the game back then. So Zach, how'd you kind of like learn in accordance with Danny just kind of said? Like, what was your feedback? What was kind of like people watching, or was it just kind of like a natural fit for you?
Yeah, I am a theater kid, as unfortunate as that news is. So I've just loved speaking and public speaking for a while, but speaking to a gaming community, I think, is a unique art form. And being able to sit in that off-camera position in the cold pot and hear how they address maybe some hard-hitting questions from the community. I don't think we shy away from honest feedback in chat. I think was my biggest learning experience. And I definitely didn't want to do an on-camera stream until I felt like I was comfortable to be able to handle that, build up that game knowledge, and be able to address that question properly, because I didn't want to let anyone down. That's for sure. The people that come to the stream are there for a reason, and they love the game and they're passionate. So I didn't want to offend anyone by not being able to answer their question or doing that. So being able to watch people like Danny and Megan stream, it was enlightening to see how you can chat with the community in that way. But the crazy silliness performance part of it is the unfortunate theater kid background.
Gotcha. Because obviously I know that we've had like two interesting conversations recently, one regarding the Valkyrie rework, which I thought was a little overblown, but I kind of understand. It's like very old Warframe. People really love what they were able to do with her before the rework, and I think that conversation settled down. But now there's a new thing with damage attenuation, which I'm kind of against. But that's kind of one of the questions I wanted to ask, is that whenever you guys are kind of looking through community feedback and engaging in that conversation, do you guys ever feel like it's ever getting to like an overwhelming thing, something that's kind of like, okay, look, you guys just kind of have to like wait and see, or is it kind of, or what's it kind of like for you both?
I would love to hear both perspectives on this, especially from Danny's point of view with live ops. I feel like I get to witness a lot of what creators think working with them every day. They sort of become voices of what their communities feel like. And so you can sort of like condense it up to spokespeople of their communities. And I don't think I've ever shied away from feedback that's negative. I think, as I mentioned before, people love playing the game, and they're not posting in forums or making videos on something that they don't agree with because they hate the game. They do it because they love it. And reminding myself of that is, I think, an easy way to be able to interpret that feedback and share it with the team. Once I think it reaches that point of being able to share it with the team, we kind of have to mix in our own thoughts, because like you mentioned, the Valkyrie rework, we were testing that on the test build, every day, but it wasn't in the hands of our players yet. So that feedback that we're receiving is them kind of interpreting what it would be like in game, and us playing it was the other side of that, and being able to merge the two is, I think, that dance of feedback that we have to do in community all the time. And Danny is a master of that. So I'm going to segue to Danny.
Please.
That's overly nice. Oh my God, my PC just like froze crazy for a second. Am I okay?
You're good.
Okay, oh my God. Yeah, I think from like a live ops perspective, and I have to give like full kudos over to DE Taylor too on our team, who, you know, and also to our like community is such an interesting team because we're combined of many different branches of departments in a sense. So like we do have a specialized live ops individual. We have Taylor who's watching the live build and is making a point of letting the dev teams and whoever else know what is happening and what people are talking about in terms of issues. And then we have our community designers on the team who can allow everyone else to understand the complexities of why someone is complaining about something or feels a certain way, or maybe the intricacies of how we can or cannot change something, which is really important. So ultimately, when we kind of look at it and like when we frame it, over the years, the community team and the team as a whole has found a really good process, and we have like a series of steps that we following an update like that, where maybe there's some changes that have come through and people are giving us that feedback, and it's really streamlined at this point. We've found a good footing with it, and surely there are moments, and there have been moments where we're hearing like there's a lot of conversation happening around a certain, you know, change or feedback point. And it can feel a little bit overwhelming, but our job as a community team is to look through that, kind of look through the fog and see like, what are the bullet points of what they're saying? And what are those things that we can address directly? And that's what we are able to kind of translate over to the dev team. And that's kind of where we have that, we're like the mediators in a sense.
Gotcha.
But like Zach said, like ultimately people are talking about the game because they care about the game. So we understand as gamers ourselves and as lovers of Warframe why it's important to them, because it's equally as important to us to ensure that they're happy with it ultimately. Do we have to find some middle ground sometime? Yes, but that's obviously a conversation that's just needing to be had. So two-way street in most instances.
It's
in all instances.
Yeah. I was just gonna follow up saying that obviously now that we're kind of like entering, you know, well, past year 12, going into potentially year 13 and everything, what's it kind of like seeing at this point, especially in your position, Danielle, kind of like seeing the kind of like new player feedback compared to the veteran player feedback, kind of that end game, if something isn't dying whenever I shoot it, my build's wrong kind of thing, against, you know, the new player experience being like, if I'm shooting something and it's not dying, I don't know what I can do to kind of make that happen, that kind of thing. What's it like from both of your perspectives, obviously, like aggregating that feedback and offering it and seeing what's possible?
That's a great question. I'm sure as you've seen over the years, we've put a big focus on the new player experience, because there was that kind of like, we were seeing where people were hitting those brick walls as like a new player. And that became a priority to us because, you know, obviously we want people to be able to enjoy what the game has to offer. But if they can't, you know, overcome those hurdles, that's on us to figure out, you know, what tools they may be missing. So it is a balance between like ensuring that new players have the road out in front of them, that we're laying the bricks evenly so that that journey is enjoyable for them. And then also seeing our veteran players and hearing like where they're potentially having those, you know, face to brick wall moments as well. And they're two very different conversations. And I'm sure you could like appreciate as a Warframe enjoyer and player yourself that we've had these conversations throughout the years that Warframe, like 12 going on to 13 years that Warframe's been around. And I think a lot of it just comes down to, again, just making sure that we know what people are talking about, what they care about. And regardless of the fact of whether you're a new player or a more senior player, you've been around for a long time, that we know that those two buckets can live holistically together, and that we do have the capacity to address them in different ways. Again, it just comes down to kind of like picking out and seeing what we can actually address. But sometimes that does mean like allocating resources, moving them. We're we ebb and flow between. And I think just recently, as you've noticed, we've done a lot of that for the new player experience, because we're excited for people to get into Warframe and play. But Zach, I've yapped a lot, so I don't know if I missed anything important on that front.
No, I was just about to say, you know, when you mentioned like if a weapon isn't doing enough damage from a veteran, when I first started and I was gathering feedback on, you know, a new weapon from creators, the first question back was, what's the enemy level? And then you'd go back, you realize that they're fighting level 999 enemies, and you're like, okay, so maybe the weapon isn't the problem, but what can we do for these people that want to take it all the way? And I think that that is how community work, I think, can influence the design work. We have an incredibly talented team making up new weapons and new mechanics to keep players engaged. And those can then come across our desk and we can go, we may think this not work well for our community. And we do play tests ourselves, so we can send back that evidence of here's videos of this mechanic not working. And so that can influence the design. But I've always said that Warframe really is a game where you can pick the thing that looks the coolest to you, seems the best to you, and you can get pretty far with it. There's game modes like Deep Archimedia and Elite Deep Archimedia that you really need to make sure you get the specific mods and the specific weapons. You gotta lock in. I myself am approaching the meta level. Like, I've been doing a lot more with like builds to make them work in those scenarios, but I am in no way an expert, and we're definitely not shy about that. Like, we lean on our creators who are, and we borrow their builds for prime time sometimes so we can push through that Elite Deep Archimedia. And so the balance of seeing when they say this weapon's not good, you got to pull out the details and say, where were they using it? How are they using it? Is this something we can change, or do we just say that this is the limit of that weapon? Is an interesting conversation. I don't think there is an exact blueprint on how we do that each time. It's different based on the feedback we get each and every time.
Just like Danny said, basically like an ebb and flow, just making sure that you're not leaning too much into one thing and then ignoring the other, which is awesome to see. But anyways, now that we're kind of entering nearly the end here, I kind of wanted to ask you both. Saturday is TennoCon 2025, the 10th annual TennoCon. How does it kind of feel? So I kind of want to start with Danny first. She said that she got 2 digital streams in 2015, so this would be basically 10 years as well for her. So how's it been for each year going into TennoCon, and how excited are you for this year's TennoCon, and kind of what your role is in all of this?
I keep repeating this, but it's this like anxious excitement for every TennoCon. It's this thing that we know happens every year, and the building blocks start like immediately, pretty much after the TennoCon of that year ends, and the conversations are already being had. So it's this kind of sobering moment, this like reality strike where you're like, oh my God, it's literally happening this Saturday. And more than anything, it's just excitement to see our friends again, our community, and to have opportunities to meet people who maybe we haven't met before, and to be witness to their love for the game and their commitment to come from their homes, from around the world, to be in London, Ontario, Canada, to spend a couple days with us because they love Warframe and they love the community. And to see that that's happened from year 1 to now year 10, and now it's a 2-day event, and we get to enjoy even more aspects of that with the community. Like, the Warframe music has its own concert on Friday. The cosplayers get to have their full moment on Friday. We have our new narrative panel, so our narrative team gets to speak to the community and speak to lore and stuff. It's just, it's a collective of everything that we love, not only about the Warframe community, but what we love about DE as DE staff members. It's like a big party for everyone who loves what Warframe is, and a starting point into what it will be, and to share in that excitement with folks. But Zach, I want to hear from you too on that.
Please, I need that perspective, especially since you haven't been around as long as Danny, but been kind of around for 2020, kind of like the year where lockdown was kind of happening. So what's that transitionary period been like for you, from going to kind of hosting TennoCons kind of virtually to the now in-person events for the last couple of years?
Yeah, my first TennoCon experience was virtual, as you said, and that was interesting to see how we had to transition from that celebration in person to online. And a lot of those things have stuck around, like in-game experiences and relays and digital packs. So 2023 was my first in-person experience, and it was my first convention ever.
Oh,
And
really?
so to be in a room full of people that all love the same thing was something I had never experienced before. And it was so incredible. And we get to sit at our desks and do our community work every day because of the people that play the game. And to put on an event for them once a year where we can give back that generosity and passion is so much fun. I love that I get the honor of hosting a panel on stage and give all the kudos to the amazing sound team for an hour and give them an opportunity to talk about what they do every day and peer into that window of what it takes, because I myself was unaware before I had started working here. So being able to replicate that awe and experience of what it's like to witness a game being made is pretty special. And I just love meeting everyone at the events every year. I love seeing the creators who I talk to online all year and seeing them in person and giving them hugs if they want. I'm a big hugger. And so
Aww.
for me to continually grow in the company and be able to contribute more to the game has only just returned dividends back into my soul. Sorry for being so dramatic, because it's truly just hard to imagine that I've reached a point that I get to experience with all these amazing people in the room and share it with, like my friends and family who get to go to TennoCon and they don't know anything about the game, but they're just invigorated with how passionate the people are around. So long-winded answer, sorry, but I'm just so excited for people to see what this 10th TennoCon brings this year.
Of course. And it's like, obviously, whatever things get shown, how do you guys kind of prepare for kind of like the feedback that you're going to see? Like, oh, I didn't want to go in this direction or something like that. Because obviously, I want to say that 1999 has been kind of one of the most well-received updates in Warframe's history. Are you guys kind of worried about where you guys are kind of going next? Or is it kind of like, yeah, we'll just see where the wind takes us?
That's a great question. I definitely want both of us to answer on this one. I think there's something called demo fatigue, and it's where you've been witnessing the changes and the work that's been done on the TennoCon demo that you actually don't know how it's gonna land. Like you've become numb to the experience, and then you'll rewatch it again. And you'll be like, no, this is so cool. And I think this year is unique because, as you mentioned with 1999, we had teased it before TennoCon last year, so we could talk about it beforehand, and people kind of knew what they were expecting. But this year, that's not the case. And so people can assume and guess, and we'll never admit it until the day of on what we're going to talk about. But there is a little bit of that gambling thing of like, is this going to land as much as we want it to? Are people going to be invested in a new chapter? I think a similar vibe was like after the new war came out. Fresh slate for Warframe, right? We wrapped up a lot of narrative ties, and so then we had to start fresh and see what we could do to keep people enticed. So I would say people have always wanted to be on the wild train that is Warframe. So I think we'll just ask them to do it once again with this next step, and it will be a lot of fun. But Danny, curious on your answer.
Honestly, like, Zach, I mean, you nailed it. I think more than anything, it's the question of like, where's the line of like shock and awe and surprise and delight? And did we go too far over into the one side? Are people going to embrace it as much as we foresee them to? Or it's always so hard to gauge when you're presenting something on a platter and you're like, you didn't maybe order this or think that you were going to get this delivered to your room. Do you like it? Like, what would you rate it on a 5-star scale? Like, what's the flavor like? You know what I mean? Like but that comes with the risk of wanting to do something new. And there's that trust between us and our players that I think emotionally lean on a lot. Like, there's that like moment of meditation where you're going like, I'm putting myself in the room. Can I hear them cheering? Can I hear them gasping and excited? And we can't fully predict what the response is going to be, but what we do know is that people showed up to see what is next for Warframe, and they're excited just for that moment. So what comes afterwards is part of the job, right? It's part of our job to see people's reactions and to continue the conversation and to watch the lore hounds kind of pick things apart. And that's the fun part too. As much as it is nerve-wracking, it's all part of developing a game, which already is a hard thing to do. So, but we very much appreciate that people are willing to take the risk with us. And yeah, like Zach said, jump on that train.
Okay. And before I let you both go, I obviously wanted to ask just one more final question. It's kind of something that I've done before with, recent interviews with someone like Kat Kingsley on the narrative team. But I wanted to ask you both. Well, this is kind of a couple months ago. I forgot to do it recently. But anyways, I kind of wanted to know what keeps you guys driven every single day whenever you go into digital extremes, whenever you guys kind of wake up in kind of like your day-to-day or even in recent events following TennoCon. What's that thing that keeps you both going?
Zach, do you want to start on this one?
It's probably a bit too ambiguous. I'm sorry.
No, it's a great question. It's a
fantastic question. Yeah. I would say that one, it's the coolest job in the world. Even though it's my only job after university. I know that I'm incredibly lucky to be here and to be able to, one, have faith in the direction the game's going and witness the positive reactions, even sometimes the negative, but there are still people all the same sharing their love for the game, I think definitely keeps me going. And I get a lot of satisfaction from the work that I do. Working with creators, even though I don't do any of the content creation, just being able to supply them with the support to make cool Warframe content is just so fulfilling. And adding new people to the program is always a fun time. Working with them on sponsorships and commissions for artists and seeing how that affects their life just comes right back to how amazing it feels to be here. And like with any job, the people are incredible. And it sounds cheesy. I know it does. It's truly a family here. And to be able to rely on them in times that are tough for people. I just had to recently move right before TennoCon, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without the support of my coworkers, knowing that they had my back. And that's the special thing. It definitely keeps me driven on the tough days for us. We know that we've always got someone to lean on.
And Danny?
About to make me cry over here. I'm too much of a baby for this question. I feel like there's too many. I mean, that's a good thing, right? Like I have a lot of emotions and memories tied to DE, to Warframe, to the community team. And showing up is the easy part, honestly. The work doesn't feel like work when you care about why people are showing up for you in the game. And I've been witness to so many moments that I can't even really necessarily put into words where, like during our charity fundraising and whatnot, like Quest to Conquer Cancer every year, it's this moment where I cannot believe, but I'm living in this reality where people also just make a point of sharing with us how much they care back. And I don't think I could ever experience that elsewhere. I feel very privileged that this is the kind of career I've been lucky enough to fall into. There's a lot of hard work involved, but what we get back in return is tenfold of that effort. So it's not hard. It's not hard to show up. As difficult sometimes as it is in the industry, and we see our fellow studios struggle, all we want is for games to live on. All we want is for these communities to live on. And if we can be a part of that, if we can keep that ecosystem alive where people can continue to love games and love Warframe, and we get to lift each other all up. That's I can't think of anything better to be a part of. So yeah, Zach.
Well, I mean, I was just
really sad.
I was just gonna say, like, obviously, whenever it comes to digital extreme, something that I've always kind of appreciated about you guys is that obviously it's standard practice to always engage with the community now and always aggregate feedback. But Digital Extremes is one of the only companies I've seen that's been very proactive to the point where even some of the writers I spoke to recently have actually been able to kind of lurk and actually play with people behind the scenes without really them knowing who they are, and just kind of understanding what makes them tick, what they love the most, and just kind of seeing it all in game for themselves. And I've always kind of loved that part about Digital Extremes, just seeing the proactivity, not waiting until something that kind of blows up in your face or something. It's just kind of like, no matter what gets shown, no matter, even if people don't even know how good it's going to be, you guys are always there on the forefront to make sure you're there and understanding the vibes so you guys can kind of prepare for it and react appropriately.
That's very kind. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That means a lot. That means a lot. That comes with years of building trust, I think. That relationship didn't materialize. It was a lot of years of like building up that foundation with our community and our players trusting us, and keeping us accountable as well. Lots of that, and lessons learned, and mistakes will be made and have been made, and they'll continue to be made, but we're willing to learn and we're willing to have those conversations so that, you know, we can continue to have these lovely moments with our community and celebrate Warframe together.
Alrighty, and just wanted to say thank you again to both of you for your time. This has been an amazing conversation, and I just wanted to say, I know it's coming in Saturday. You guys got at least 5 days to prepare, but it's like I hope you both get plenty of rest and
Thank you.
just ready to go for that event, because I can only imagine what it's going to be like.
Very exciting. We're buzzing. We are buzzing. But thank you so much, Joseph. These were the nicest questions ever. So sweet.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.